Hello and welcome back to the exciting conclusion of the 2025 Konopiście Open, with only 9 holes left separating our new leader of the first Disc Golf Pro Tour Europe 2025 Elite Series event. It is an exciting weekend and there are a lot of names up at the top. This is MPO Round 3 Back 9 Lead Card MPO coverage brought to you by MDG Media. I'm Connor Wood, and with me, Finnish superstar Elias Luukkonen.
Thank you, Connor, for the title. Thank you, viewers, for being here. We're finishing up this first Elite Series out of 5 of the European season. Long season had plenty of exciting action. As you can see, front 9 was very favorable for Mauri Villmann, even a little bit more favorable for Lauri Lehtinen, and even a bit more favorable for some of the other names in the field. A lot of hot scores in the double digits today.
Certainly, those positions 1 to 3 is what everybody is hunting, and although Mauri has a healthy lead, anything can happen here.
On hole 10, you're trying to throw a flat to fading forehand. It's one of the easier birdies you're gonna find on most courses, although on this course it might actually be more on the difficult side, as you do have these 2 mandos you have to navigate between of. If you miss the mando, you go to a drop zone of 20 meters away. I wouldn't be expecting any of these players to miss the mando, but it does kind of get in your head. A lot of forehands end up short right, just because you want to make the gap between the mandos. Also does offer some opportunity to throw a backhand turnover, but Lauri, being a proficient forehand player, it's a good line here, a little short. Get some great ground plate, put himself just 5-6 meters away. I really like the hyzer angle out of the hand already. Very safe with the mando. Same thing with Mauri though, this is more inside. This is what I was talking about, being short right. And while that is very much within Mauri's range, it's not really a putt that you want to have on such an easy forehand hole. Surprising to see Teemu going backhand here. He has a very strong forehand, as we have seen throughout this round, but wow, beautiful touch, beautiful angle control. He was going with a mid-range, an understable mid-range there, just to hit the gap and control the landing. Niklas, obviously, very experienced with throwing these turnover backhands. And hitting the mando tree, kicking in the circle. Great result with the shot that was not really ideal from Niklas. Wow. Mauri Villmann. I'm not sure what to say about this guy. I feel like we should start putting him up there for the title of being the best putter in Europe. Potentially challenging this guy, Niklas, there with a dead center putt from 12 meters. Both of them have a very similar style. Spinny stroke where, when they're on, they can be making anything from everywhere. Lauri there, more of a up and down putt. Still like his style. And Teemu just 4.5 to finish the star frame. In tradition in Czech Republic, you're usually shaking the chains as a card after a star frame, but looks like our lead card is too used to this. They're moving on to hole 11, all happy with their score on 10.
We are going to kick it off on hole 11. This long par 4 plays with first a straight flex, often something going from left to right and trying to beat that left tree, and then as the fairway bends softly to the right, they then have to beat that late guardian, the basket tucked right behind. It is a great hole as it challenges both distance and placement, but also gives you a lot of variety in the possible approaches you can take to try and get into the green.
Lauri said that his throw is feeling faster than ever after the the off-season where he wasn't practicing quite as much as usual, and you can see it with this shot. Huge distance, getting past the red tree is a marker of a big drive on this hole, and that is just massive.
Mauri as well, a beautiful flex down the middle, also crushed around that red tree. That is a prime position. The further left you fade, the more distance you'll have on the second, but it also brings that right side tree line out of play. That really is the only significant mistake you want to avoid, is going too far right on your drive, as you then have a pinched angle. Teemu also using the width nicely and landing center fairway.
Niklas being the shorter throwing player on the card, while he does have some good distance, everybody else is a certified crusher with the backhand. He's gonna be a little short there. Didn't quite get the height on the disc, which on this hole, going slightly downhill, you wanna still put it a few meters up there in the air. But as you can see, he still has a chance to get up there for the green. Just gonna be short, unfortunately. And he's not having the round of his life right now. Really slipping out of contention, already 10 strokes back with 9 holes to go. Niklas Anttila is officially out of the tournament for the win.
Mauri shaping the hyzer down the right side, gets denied just at the end of the flight, but has curled up on the green. Likely an obstructed and slightly longer putt. As the rain is coming down, we see the umbrellas coming out. We go now to Lauri. Slightly pinched behind this tree, is going to need to use the width available to him, and it looks like he has done just that. Such a smooth entrance to the green there from Lauri from way back. That camera shot did not do justice on how far he threw it into the green at that very, very late gap under the red branches.
Absolutely, it's not a big window that you have to hit if you go for that right side hyzer, trying to get under the branches. The gap is pretty wide, but the height is so specific. You have to hit the ground just under the branches, take your skip. Even the approach here for Niklas doesn't really have a run at the basket unless he figures something out. That was a creative effort for sure.
And interesting that he would opt for the height, as you would only really do that if you wanted to give it a chance to go in. Whereas if you're just trying to lay it up, you would go underneath, off the band from way out. An unfortunate miss, but good to curl up nice and close. We go now to Lauri. Just a smooth operator. Finds himself a birdie. 7 down through the first 10 holes.
Teemu there, solid putt in the middle. Also has been struggling throughout this round. The good thing for him though is that back 9 offers a lot of opportunity, especially the last 6. This hole and the next hole are still tricky to birdie, but holes from 13 through 18 are all holes that you are wanting and also expecting to birdie. Hole number 12. It's gonna be the most difficult hole on the course. Very technical drive here. You have to throw something quite high through the gap, moving right of its flight. It can be a pushing forehand, it can be a pushing anhyzer with a mid-range or a putter. If you get yourself in prime position somewhere in line with the FPO tee pad, you're gonna have about 100-meter approach over the water into a green that is slanted upwards. You can really throw your approach as hard as you want, as long as you hit the gap clean. If you don't hit your gap clean though, huge potential of hitting a branch and dropping into the water.
You see Lauri on the tee, going to be shaping a pushing forehand hyzer. In order to get to the sweet spot, you need to push that back tree line really closely, and he's done just that. Well done. That one angle forehand is difficult to get enough glide to push far, far right, but Lauri has done more than enough to give himself a reasonable position. Teemu here, that glidey backhand has more opportunity to go to the right, but also has a tendency to maybe be a bit long of the sweet spot, a bit short of it. I would say that's maybe a bit long, but it's only because the sweet spot is tiny in its width of where you actually want to land. That's a great shot by Teemu.
Absolutely, the most important thing with that backhand is that you get the turnover all the way. Teemu had a bit of a fade at the end, which, as you said, often causes that just to go a bit too far. As Niklas, he's a master of this shot. Really like the angle there, even though he pushed it a bit too far and not going to be rewarded.
Tough day for Niklas as he now just looks to lay up to the mouth of the pond, get to that FPO and he's done just that. He will be likely able to secure his par if he can get over the pond cleanly. We go to Lauri now, in the sweet spot with the forehand drive. Flips this one up through the gap. The mistake on this hole is to go short, obviously into the pond, so a lot of players will opt to throw something kind of hard, kind of high, and just make sure to air it out over the water, get to the other side. Lauri has done just that.
And we're gonna see Teemu's angle here very tight, has to push the low ceiling of the gap, and look at this shot. Just incredible, going even long off the basket. Impressive how he got so much glide out of such a low ceiling shot.
Mauri just crushing the forehand into those trees and filtering through. Those can be pretty significant guardians. You do see some discs hit them, fall back towards the thrower, and often into the water. You can punch through them. It's a bit of a gamble, but it's worked out for Mauri. Niklas also doing a great job to get himself over the pond and onto the green. As we take a look at the putts our lead card is left with.
Lauri on a line, just not high enough to reach the basket. He's 5 strokes back of the lead, so in order for Lauri to still win this thing, he needs to birdie pretty much every remaining hole and hope that Mauri is gonna make some big mistakes. As we see Teemu there. Solid birdie.
Mauri certainly not playing around here. Fantastic putt, very confident and smooth stroke as he has been delivering all day and honestly all weekend. He has not yet gone with a round that was not way above average in terms of the field's performance, and you see that's how he's accumulated this lead. These tap-ins now for our remaining players. Very smooth birdie from Lauri, and he's looking pretty dialed right now as he kicks off the back nine well. Endings we see from the chase card, Nestori Tukanen making a push. He's played 3 more holes than our lead card to get to where he is, but in position.
Hey everyone, Gannonburg here, and I want to invite you to compete in the Power Disc Golf Academy Championship Series. This is the only professional amateur nationwide disc golf series, and everyone is welcome to compete. Qualifier events will be held in cities across North America. If you place high enough at a qualifier event, you'll earn the invitation to compete in our championship event at Eagles Crossing Disc Golf Course. Scan this QR code for dates and locations of the qualifying events. We hope to see you there.
Here we are on hole 13. You have OB lining the right side the entire way. A lot of players are opting for something slightly understable on the backhand that goes straight and fades softly to the left or just flat. The forehand is also a possible option, but given the left to right slope and the shorter distance of the hole, that OB along the right I previously mentioned, the only real danger is some sort of forehand skip, so it's a little less preferred by a lot of the field.
Interesting to see the different angle controls of these players. Teemu there going with a pretty neutral disc, almost challenging the basket. Slight Anheuser release out of the hand. I like the fact that he was trying to match the grade of the hill with his release angle, which Mauri will also do just with the opposite side. A little flip up forehand with a mid-range.
Lauri sneaking under that left side low branch, even called 4 into the crowd, but slowed down in time to avoid them. We go to Niklas now, so talented with the understable putter shots. On an absolute line to the pin. You cannot throw it much better than that unless you're maybe potentially giving it an ace run. Lauri from up the hill, just shy of finding an amazing putt. Go now to Teemu.
A little soft there on the release. I feel like he didn't putt as hard as he normally does. Usually a very confident release. Just like this guy. Doesn't really let down on the speed. No mercy on the basket there, hitting the middle low, pushing his round score to 7 under. With 5 very birdieable holes left after this. Excuse me, 8 under round score already. Moving on to the final stretch of this course, hole number 14. It's gonna be a par 4. Once again, a lot of pressure on the drive. Not so much pressure on the approach, because if you get a good drive, the approach is pretty simple. Wanna throw something on a slight hyzer angle, even flat if you have an overstable disc off the tee. Your goal is to move through the gap and to the left, opening up ideally a hyzer angle to the green. If you do your drive correctly, you're gonna have about 105 meters left. Should be an easy approach. Let's see if these guys can hit the gap of the tee.
Mauri opting for a low piercing shot, and I like that. He beats the corner and fires straight through. Very nicely done. That will be prime position. Straight to hyzer look at the green. The benefit of moving left, as you said, Elias, is that it gives you that pure hyzer into the green compared to maybe a flex or flip up, which requires more touch and more criteria for being successful than the pure hyzer. Niklas as well in a pretty prime position.
This hole is also a solid measure of throwing distance, as everybody's throwing a similar line. You can really see the difference in speed of the discs coming into this sweet spot.
Lauri with tons of glide on that. Also just cresting around the corner. These guys, this is light work on that one angle shot for them.
So everybody in really nice position here. On this hole, if you feel like doing so, you can even try to throw this approach in with no risk. We're going uphill at the end, slight left to right slope.
Mauri in position to continue advancing his lead. This has a nice height and a nice width Now we just need to see the power that it came out with. And it is a dart. Almost putting it in, as you said, Elias, that spike as well. Mitigating some of the big ground play as well as that slope fading into it. Just all around a shot that you can give a good run and keep it close. Teemu now giving his bid at the basket. Nicely done.
Yeah, it seems like he went with a slower disc there, potentially just an overstable mid-range, judging by the ground reaction. Lauri going high with an overstable fairway, like the overstable fairway play here. Just try to stick it in the bullseye. He's done pretty much that on the edge of that 3-meter circle.
And you can see with a good drive that this hole is very attackable. We go to Teemu up first on the putting green. And he's not that far away. All of the upshots were very clean into the circle, and he's done well there to secure that putt.
Certainly a hole that you need to birdie. It's not even a hole you want to birdie, you just absolutely have to birdie this hole to stay in contention. 48% of the field in the final round getting the 3 here. And if we're talking about top of the field, percentage is probably closer to 75.
Here we are now on hole 15, a 228-meter par 4 with OB lining the left the entire way, as well as a soft right-to-left slope. I think the biggest danger here for the right-handed backhand is finding an extra large skip taking you towards the danger, and as a result a lot of players are going to force a left-to-right shape off the tee and then sort of scramble from whatever position they're left. Unless they're in the sweet spot, then they can just throw straight down the hill with something like a putter or mid-range. And again, a very attackable hole with how generous the width of the fairway is. You just need your drive inbounds and you're almost always going to have a chance to have an upshot for your birdie.
Once again, from a player standpoint, this is one of the most satisfying shots you can find on the course. Going downhill with a slight hyzer flip to turnover shot, fading back with the hillside. Mauri has thrown it to perfection, and that's likely gonna end up in a birdie putt for him after a little 65-meter approach from there. That was a far drive. I'm impressed with his power right now.
Niklas putting a really nice slow turn onto this disc. Moves far right and fades back just at the beginning of that rightmost tree line.
This is also just a beautiful shape from Teemu, showing off that speed and angle control he has. I think even outdriving Mauri by a few meters there. They're both gonna have very simple approaches from there.
Niklas just playing the forehand hyzer on the wide straddle. And yeah, comes up well within his range. We'll have a downhill look at from roughly circle's edge. We see Mauri.
With that forehand approach, slow disc. Beautiful control of the angle. The right to left hillside isn't quite as prominent when we get all the way down to the green. So these overstable forehands aren't really skipping that different compared to just flat ground. As you can see, Teemu fading far to the right, still well in the circle there.
Lauri here opting for the flex, taking full advantage of the width available to him, and has done well, particularly on the touch going downhill. It's very easy to fire a bit long or a bit short.
And as we're watching Niklas putt here, something to note about Niklas's game right now, as he just barely misses, is that he was actually called on time on hole number 12, I believe. So potentially making his routine a little bit shorter, or at least making him more conscious of it than normal. Very much true, as we see good birdie there for Lauri. And similar thing for Niklas here. And yes, I feel like from a player standpoint, it's great to have somebody else making those calls, as it can really hurt the vibe of a card, even if you don't have bad intentions. Just calling somebody on a rules violation, it's a lot of pressure on just an individual player.
A good putt by Mauri there, facing straight at the crowd. He is not letting up the pace, and as the holes run out, I think these other contenders know that they are losing the chance to catch him.
Open champion, hold like this!
Here we are. Beautiful hole 16, a 302-meter par 5. You have this initial tunnel. Although a lot of players will intend to get through this main gap as the drone flies, there are other possibilities earlier and to the right. However, this intended gap gives you the nicest entrance to the green on your second and / or third shot. You see this left to right sloping fairway, as well as the low ceiling of the trees, the width of the second tunnel. It shapes beautifully for a backhand distance golf line as you crest left to right into the gap and fade potentially forwards or right to left coming into the green. It is a hole that is both eagleable and bogeyable, a potential separator and differentiator for some competitors to try and catch this man right here, Mauri Villmann.
You're correct on the fact that the hole is bogeyable, although with a shot like that, Mauri is not really gonna bogey. It's looking like another very likely birdie. That was a perfect drive. Let's see if Lauri can do the same. He needs to get lucky with this shot. And does. Beautiful kick through the branches. That was not ideal.
Niklas also opting for that late flipping shot right down the middle. Doesn't quite get it to the right, ends back to the left, but on the flat, in position, it's everything you need from a good drive.
Teemu with a beautiful shot through the gap, a lot of power. And unfortunately, he's up, perched up on one of the big roots of that massive tree. That's sort of where you're aiming at with a backhand.
We see Anttila here looking to shape that understability through the low ceiling, but gets it turned over very early in its flight, and as a result is caught up much shorter than I believe he intended for. Lauri, more to the right side, has more room and freedom to turn this one over, but it does stable up towards the end. However, fantastic distance from Lauri, and I think he fought to the backside of that tree, so should be in a very good position, open to the pin. This is Mauri.
Mauri trying to go big. I believe he's going for the eagle here, which we have seen at least one eagle throughout the weekend by Ezra Ederhold in an earlier round.
There's
Mauri.
a cool reel of that on the MDG Instagram if you want to go check it out without watching the full coverage. Teemu from a very compromised stance there out of the bushes, and he's done well to generate power with his hips slightly locked. We go now to Niklas from the right side fairway. And I noticed Elias coming into this third and final round, he was not at this point truly in contention for the win. He played a little bit faster than we're used to seeing him get through. I think he was just sort of ready to push towards the end of this round.
I agree. I think with the situation where Niklas is on his career, he doesn't need to play for any financial incentive. His only goal with playing these big tournaments is to perform well and ideally win. Of course, he knows that he's one of the favorites to win this event before playing. And also I think the time call from the official probably made him play a bit faster. Couple of good shots here. Mauri is going to be in the circle. Lauri under the basket with a technical skip shot. Beautifully played, showing some of that frisbee skill of his.
Niklas with the downhill putt. Just a bit shy. And you see frustration out of him, even when that was sort of a low probability putt. It all just means so much to him. And Mauri with the high probability putt feels like anything under 20 for him this weekend. Look at the guy's scorecard. He came in as the leader, and he is giving absolutely no room for anyone to catch him here on hole 16 with only 2 remaining. Solid comebacker for Niklas.
Teemu jams it in. And as Mauri is getting closer to the finish line and almost the inevitable victory of an Elite Series event, almost flawless performance here on the back nine, I think it's fair to compare Mauri's performance to the best performance on this course by Eagle McMahon, shooting 58 under par in 4 rounds, which I think is quite comparable to what Mauri is doing right now in this event. While we're moving on, hole number 17, 175 meters uphill, playing much longer than the meters shown on the screen, probably closer to 230 meters. Want to throw something far off the tee, avoid the left side OB with some understability. You're gonna be set up for a nice little forehand hyzer approach on the second. Pretty simple hole. I believe we should see 4 birdie looks here.
Certainly, the real only significant danger is the OB line to the left, so if players can keep their disc landing in the center or right side fairway, even if it pinches their angle a little bit, I think they'll opt to be inbounds, given the situation and given how tight the scores are up at the top. We see from Lauri, very similar result.
Nice nose angle control there, not to fade too far to the left. Teemu, also just the perfect drive down the middle. With the level of play here in Europe nowadays, this drive is really not challenging the top players. The fairway is pretty wide, and the only thing that can go wrong here is that left side OB, which Niklas is flirting with and even finding. Pretty big mistake, but as we mentioned, probably not at his highest point of motivation.
We see Niklas now on his second, looking to access the green on this one. And very smooth, gets his way around the tree, fades underneath it even at the end. I think clipped it a soft touch.
Mauri, Mauri, Mauri. He's putting on a clinic. 40 under mark is getting more and more realistic by every shot that he's throwing. Lauri as well, trying to solidify that second place finish, which is honestly incredible. With the field we had, very, very deep. think there were at least 10 to 15, even 20 players that could potentially win this event. And being second it's a great feat. Great start to the season so far from Lauri.
And some fantastic wildlife here on the Franz Ferdinand course. We have these beautiful peacocks roaming free. We go now to Niklas putting up the hill from inside the circle.
Lauri with a good birdie of his own there, pushing his round score to 12 under par. Very solid. I believe the hot round in the clubhouse right now is set by Eetu Tuominen, 14 under. Incredible young player from Finland and just showing the deep talent that even the under 18-year-olds are having nowadays.
Here we are at the last and final hole, one throw potentially away from claiming the championship. This par 3 is 136 meters downhill with a natural rough lining the right side and a natural left as well as an OB line lining the left side. The crowd often gathering at those late barriers at the end. All eyes on our lead card as they fight their way back down this hill to close out the Konopište Open 2025. Elias, statistically, how does this hole play?
Statistically, you're never going to bogey this hole if you're Mauri or any of the top players.
What if I'm not Mauri or one of the top players? What am I likely to throw?
You are likely to still par this hole, 61% par, 35% birdie. Mauri is most likely going to be one of those 35%. No wonder the percentage is so high. Seems like he can't miss a hole right now. Lauri as well, turning it over at the end. It's going to be a nice putt to finish in front of the crowd behind the green.
Teemu comes up a little bit short and to the right side, however, gets claps from the gallery. They appreciated his line. And we go to Niklas here. Also just so smooth with the putter. Knows exactly what he's doing. Slides up just inside the circle. Great to see the camaraderie between those two Estonian players. We have Teemu up first, off the band. So many people watching, you really don't want to leave it short, but a miss is a miss regardless of how you get it. We go now to see the putt from Lauri. An incredible push to 13 under round score, nearing the potential course record set by Mauri, our current leader, but in the end, just shy. However, an incredible round by Lauri Lehtinen and an incredible tournament for him, as you said, with little to no practice in his off-season to come out here and do that. Highly commendable.
Absolutely, very impressive. And Niklas there, not his proudest round. He's gonna come back stronger. Same thing for Teemu. And this is your champion, Mauri Villmann. Let's see if he gets to 40 under par, and of course he does. What an absolutely legendary performance on a legendary course, a lot of history.
Your 2025 DGPT Konopiště Open champion, Mauri Villmann!
Incredible poise, composure, averaging just a super pace that could not be kept up with. I was able to catch up quickly with Mauri after his win in the evening, and he wanted to thank his Envy molds as his putters and his Mayhems off the tee, crediting his new MVP discs. They really worked well for him here in Konopište.
Again, I'd like to thank the organizing committee, Christoph Novak, and everybody that it takes to put on an event like this. It was so special and so fun. Is there anybody else you would like to thank?
Thank you everyone who came here to support us, and see you soon.
Okay, just one more question quickly. You have a new sponsor. I've seen that you're playing throughout Europe this year. Is there any chance that they will send you across the pond to display your skills to America anytime soon?
Maybe. Let's see.
Okay, let's give a big round of applause for your champion, Mauri Villmann.
Thank you.
Receiving the love from his fellow national Estonians. Incredible to see. And a true professional showing off his well-rounded skill set here. He had the backhands, he had the forehands, and particularly he had the putts that made the difference here this weekend on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Your MPO winner, Mauri Villmann.
And not only a great disc golfer, but also a master of the game called how few words you can complete an interview with. An absolute legend of the game, Mauri Villmann. Couple other names to shout out. Lauri Lehtinen, of course, second. Nestari Tuhkanen getting a podium finish on the Elite Series. Quite impressive stuff there from the young Finnish lad.
And we saw some names pushed to tied fourth as well. Make sure to check out the scores and make sure to subscribe to MDG Media if you haven't already. We are nearly at 50K. It's an incredible opportunity for us to bring you European disc golf coverage. That's one of the best ways that you can support us. Otherwise, like, comment, share it with your friends, and we will make sure to catch you at the next Disc Golf Pro Tour Europe stop. Elias, always a pleasure.
Thank you, Connor and viewers. See you next time.